Trump seems to only care about his money.
Could you imagine me doing that, or my sons doing that? Or,
no.
Or the great Ivanka Trump doing that?
Tugboat torso, Trump stump, too big Tanya Harding.
What it was is that they had gone to New York because they wanted to be by Trump's side as he was in trial.
Trump's been caught with his hand in the fortune cookie jar. Jimmy Kimmel and Jasmine Crockett just exposed some seriously sketchy deals between the former president and China. Spoiler alert, it's not just his tie that's made in China anymore. Before we expose his China links, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Looks like Grumpy Trumpy's been playing both sides of the Great Wall. While he was busy trash-talking China to his MAGA fans, his bank account was saying ni hao to some serious yuan. Kimmel and Crockett spilled the tea on how Trump and his businesses pocketed over $5.5 million from the Chinese government. Talk about a fortune cookie with benefits. But wait, there's more. Ivanka Trump, our favorite nepotism poster child, was raking in Chinese trademarks faster than you can say conflict of interest.
These records also showed how President Trump and his White House senior advisor daughter, Ivanka, received hundreds of trademarks by the PRC. In May of 2018, China approved Ivanka's trademarks for bath mats, textiles, and baby blankets. 2018, Ivanka's company gets 3 more provisional Chinese trademark approvals the same day.
Daddy Dearest was lifting sanctions on Chinese companies at the same time. Coincidence? About as likely as Trump's hair being real. Now that we've cracked open this fortune cookie of corruption, let's follow the yuan and see where it leads. Spoiler alert, it's not to making America great again. Remember how Trump was always yapping about being tough on China? Well, it turns out he was about as tough as a wet noodle when it came to turning down their cash. While he was busy tweeting up a storm about trade wars, his bank account was having a love affair with Chinese money. Trump's businesses pocketed over $5.5 million from the Chinese government during his presidency. That's right. While he was supposedly running the country, he was also running a side hustle with the very people he claimed were our enemies. Talk about playing both sides of the Great Wall. But wait, there's more. The Trump family's Chinese takeout didn't stop there. Ivanka, our favorite White House Barbie, was collecting Chinese trademarks like they were going out of style. In May 2018 alone, she scored approvals for bath mats, textiles, and baby blankets, because nothing says America first like Chinese-made Trump baby blankets, right? Now, you might be thinking, surely this is all just a big coincidence. Well, hold on to your chopsticks, because here's where it gets really fishy. On May 13th, 2018, Daddy Trump tweeted that he was going to help out ZTE, a Chinese telecom company that had been sanctioned. And what do you know? Just a few weeks later, Ivanka's company got 3 more Chinese trademark approvals. Quid pro quo? More like squid pro dough. Am I right? But the fortune cookie really crumbles when you realize this wasn't just a one-time thing. The House Oversight Committee found that Trump's businesses raked in at least $7.8 million from foreign governments during his time in office, with a big chunk of that coming from China and its state-owned businesses.
Former President Trump's businesses received at least $7.8 million from foreign governments during his time in office.
Could you imagine me doing that, or my sons doing that? Or,
no.
Or the great Ivanka Trump doing that?
Looks like Trump's Tough on China act was about as real as his tan. As one commentator put it, ultimately the question we have to ask is, who is Donald Trump in it for? Spoiler alert, it's not you, it's not me, and it's definitely not America. It's his own wallet. So we've seen Trump's shady deals, but what's really going on in that orange head of his? Turns out our ex-president has a bit of a crush on dictators. That's right, folks. While most of us were busy idolizing celebrities, Donnie Diapers was fanboying over guys like Xi Jinping. Remember when Trump said Xi was brilliant for controlling 1.4 billion people ruthlessly? Yikes. That's like praising your school bully for being really good at stealing lunch money. But hey, at least we know what Trump's bedtime reading is. Dictatorship for dummies. And it's not just Xi.
He asked me, is President Xi of China now he controls 1.4 billion people ruthlessly? They want me to say, no, he's not a very smart guy. You know, he just runs 1.4 billion people with an iron fist. Is President Xi of China a brilliant man? I said, yes, he is. He's a brilliant man. Trump said President Xi is brilliant. I said, yeah, I did.
Trump's got a whole collection of authoritarian trading cards. Putin, Kim Jong-un, he collects them like they're rare Pokemon. Jasmine Crockett, bless her soul, called out Trump's dictator envy. She said, he wants to be like Xi Jinping. He wants to be like Putin. He wants to be like Kim Jong-un. He wants to be a dictator who leads with an iron fist. Wow, Trump with an iron fist? That's a scary thought. He can barely handle a glass of water with 2 hands. But here's where it gets really weird. Trump talks tough on China in public, right? He's always going on about how the Bidens are making millions from China. Meanwhile, Meanwhile, behind the scenes, he's cozying up to the Chinese government like it's a Mar-a-Lago membership drive. All right, folks, we've seen Trump's love affair with dictators, but now let's peel back the layers of his big, beautiful MAGA onion. Spoiler alert, it's gonna make you cry, and not just because of the smell. Remember when Trump promised to make America great again? Well, it turns out the only thing he was making great was his bank account. While Donnie Diapers was busy tweeting about putting America first, he was secretly putting his wallet first, second, and third. Let's talk about that America First slogan. Sounds nice, right? Like apple pie and freedom. But in Trump's world, it was more like America first after I get mine. Jasmine Crockett, bless her heart, called out this orange turd for what he really is, a rich East Coast elite who pulled the wool over his supporters' eyes. While Trump was busy convincing his base that he was their champion fighting the good fight against those evil foreigners, he was actually in bed with them. And not just metaphorically, his businesses were getting cozy with foreign governments to the tune of $7.8 million during his presidency. That's a lot of Trump steaks, folks, but here's the kicker. A big chunk of that cash came from China. Yep, the same China he was supposedly being tough on. Turns out the only thing tough about Trump's China policy was how tough it was on American consumers. Those tariffs he was so proud of, they just made stuff more expensive for regular folks like you and me. So while Trump's supporters were busy waving their MAGA flags and chanting "Build the Wall," Trump was busy building his fortune with Chinese yuan. Talk about a bait and switch. It's like ordering a freedom fry and getting a fortune cookie instead. But wait, there's more. Remember when Trump lifted sanctions on that Chinese company ZTE? Well, it just so happened that right after that, China approved some trademarks for Ivanka's company.
ZTE is a China telecommunications company which has had extremely close ties to the Chinese government. Tweets, he's instructed the Commerce Department to reverse its decision to sanction ZTE.
What a coincidence. It's almost like there was some kind of, what's that fancy term? Oh yeah, quid pro quo, but I'm sure it was all just a happy accident, like when Trump accidentally tells the truth. Now you might be wondering, how did Trump's supporters not see through this? Well, as Crocket put it, Trump has continuously committed crimes and has continuously been out for himself, but he's also a master of distraction. While everyone was looking at his latest tweet storm, he was busy stuffing his pockets with foreign cash. The real question is what happens when Trump's base finally realizes they've been had, when they figure out that all those promises of bringing back jobs and making America great were just a mirage in the MAGA desert. It's gonna be like finding out Santa isn't real, except Santa never tried to overthrow the government. Well, folks, looks like Trump's fortune cookie is about to crumble, and the message inside isn't looking too lucky for our favorite orange turd. Remember when Trump said he could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and not lose any voters? Well, he might want to hold on to that theory because things are getting spicy in Trump Town. Now, I know what you're thinking, but he's gotten away with so much already. True, but even Teflon Don might not be able to wiggle out of this one. See, it's one thing to make dumb tweets or say nasty things about people. It's a whole other ballgame when you're playing footsie with foreign governments while sitting in the Oval Office. So what kind of trouble could Donnie Diapers be in? Well, let's just say it's not the kind you can fix with a spray tan and a comb-over. We're talking potential legal consequences, folks. And not just a slap on the wrist kind of thing. We're talking about the kind of trouble that makes "you're fired" sound like a dream come true. The House Oversight Committee, bless their little hearts, have been digging into Trump's dirty laundry, and boy, did they find some stains. They're saying Trump's businesses got at least $7.8 million from foreign governments during his presidency. That's a lot of Chinese takeout, if you know what I mean. But here's where it gets really juicy. Remember how Trump was always yapping about Biden and China?
And China nothing, and Russia nothing, and India nothing. I will have that reporter out. He should have had him out a long time ago because I didn't have legislation. I said close the border. We had the safest border in history.
Well, turns out our grumpy Trumpy might have been projecting harder than a drive-in movie theater the timeline of Ivanka getting those sweet Chinese trademarks right when Daddy Dearest was lifting sanctions on Chinese companies. That's not just fishy, that's a whole sushi platter of suspicious. Now, I know what you're thinking, but can we trust these sources? Well, unless the House Oversight Committee suddenly decided to start writing fan fiction, I'd say this is pretty solid stuff.
Continue to see is that Trump seems to only care about his money. Democrats on this committee publicly released financial documents detailing how Trump received over $5.5 million from the Chinese government.
And let's be real, if there's one thing Trump's good at, it's leaving a paper trail of his shenanigans. But what does all this mean for Trump's political future? Well, let's just say it might be time for him to start looking for a new hobby. Maybe knitting. I hear orange yarn is very in this season. Because if these allegations stick, Trump's political career might end up looking like his casinos, bankrupt and abandoned. Jasmine Crockett, bless her soul, summed it up perfectly. She said, Trump speaks tough. He pretends to be tough on them, China. But we all know if anybody pays, he'll play. say. Turns out the only thing Trump's tough on is telling the truth. Well, folks, we've seen Trump's fortune crumble faster than a stale fortune cookie. But what's the last fortune in this Chinese takeout container of corruption? Let's sum up the spicy criticism from Kimmel and Crocket. Our dynamic duo didn't just roast Trump, they deep fried him in hot oil. They exposed how grumpy Trumpy and his clan pocketed millions from China while pretending to be tough on them. Talk about a Chinese finger trap of hypocrisy. But this isn't just about Trump's wallet getting fatter. It's about the whole dang country getting played. While Trump was busy tweeting America first, he was secretly putting Trump first and leaving America in the dust. So what's next for our orange friend? Maybe he'll start a new reality show. The Biggest Loser Presidential Edition. Or perhaps he'll finally make good on that promise to drain the swamp by going there himself. Donald Trump has often been involved in controversy, and his business dealings with China are no exception. There are claims that Trump has been involved in shady deals with China, which is ironic given his strong public stance against the country. Throughout his presidency, Trump often criticized China, blaming it for many of the United States' problems, including the loss of jobs and the trade deficit. He imposed tariffs on Chinese goods, sparking a trade war, and frequently accused China of unfair trade practices. Trump's tough talk on China was a significant part of his campaign and presidency, appealing to many voters who were concerned about the impact of globalization on American jobs. However, reports suggest that Trump himself has had substantial business interests in China. It is reported that he pursued multiple business deals in China for many years, including building a large hotel in Beijing. Trump's company, the Trump Organization, also reportedly maintained a previously unknown bank account in China, which was used to pay local taxes. These revelations have led to accusations of hypocrisy, as Trump publicly denounced China while privately trying to do business there. Critics argue that Trump's business dealings with China may have influenced his policies and statements as president, potentially creating conflicts of interest. During his presidency, Trump repeatedly called the Chinese government dishonest and accused it of taking advantage of the United States. He pushed for policies to reduce America's dependence on Chinese manufacturing and criticized American companies that move their production to China. Yet, at the same time, Trump's own businesses continued to engage with China. For example, Ivanka Trump, his daughter and a senior advisor, received several trademarks from the Chinese government for her fashion brand while her father was president. This raised questions about whether the Trump family was benefiting personally from their political connection. Moreover, Trump's critics argue that his presidency was marked by fraud and deception. They point to multiple instances where Trump was accused of spreading false information, including about the COVID-19 pandemic, the results of the 2020 presidential election, and his political opponents. The January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol by Trump supporters was a culmination of his repeated claims that the election was stolen, despite there being no substantial evidence to support these claims. Many see this as a direct attack on the democratic process and believe that Trump's actions during and after the election were part of a broader pattern of dishonesty and manipulation. Trump's presidency also faced numerous legal challenges. He was impeached twice by the House of Representatives, first for abuse of power and obstruction of Congress related to his dealings with Ukraine, and second for incitement of insurrection following the Capitol attack. Although he was acquitted both times by the Senate, these impeachments highlighted serious concerns about his conduct in office. In addition to impeachment, Trump faced multiple investigations into his personal and business finance. The New York Attorney General and Manhattan District Attorney launched inquiries into allegations of tax fraud, bank fraud, and insurance fraud. These investigations are ongoing and could lead to further legal troubles for Trump. Despite these controversies, Trump remains a powerful figure in American politics. His supporters are fiercely loyal and believe that he was unfairly targeted by the media and political opponents. They argue that Trump's policies were beneficial for the country, citing economic growth before the pandemic, criminal justice reform, and efforts to secure the southern border. Trump's ability to connect with a significant portion of the American electorate, particularly those who feel left behind by globalization and the political establishment, ensures that he continues to be a central figure in the Republican Party. Voting is one of the most important responsibilities we have as citizens. When we vote, we choose the leaders who will shape our country's future. In the recent presidential elections, many people made their choice, and one of the candidates was Joe Biden. This text will explain why voting for Joe Biden was the right choice for America, focusing on his policies, character and vision for the country. Joe Biden has a long history of public service. He served as a U.S. Senator for many years and was vice president under President Barack Obama. During his time in office, Biden worked on many important issues. He helped pass laws that provided health care to millions of Americans, supported measures to protect the environment, and fought for the rights of working people. Biden's experience and dedication to public service show that he's committed to making the country better for everyone. One of the key reasons to vote for Biden is his approach to healthcare. During his campaign, Biden promised to protect and expand the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. This law has helped millions of Americans get health insurance and has made healthcare more affordable. Biden's plan includes adding a public option, which would give people more choices and help lower costs. He also wants to lower the cost of prescription drugs and ensure that everyone has access to quality healthcare. Biden's healthcare plan is designed to help all Americans, especially those who struggle to afford the care they need. Another important issue is the environment. Climate change is one of the biggest challenges facing the world today, and Biden has a plan to address it. He proposed the Biden Plan for a Clean Energy Revolution and Environmental Justice, which aims to reduce carbon emissions and create jobs in the clean energy sector. Biden's plan includes rejoining the Paris Agreement, which is a global effort to combat climate change. He also wants to invest in renewable energy sources like wind and solar power. By taking action on climate change, Biden is working to protect the planet for future generations. Biden's vision for the economy is another reason to support him. He understands that the economy needs to work for everyone, not just the wealthy. Biden's plan includes raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour, which would help millions of workers make a better living. He also wants to invest in infrastructure such as roads, bridges, and schools, which would create jobs and improve the quality of life for many people. Biden's economic plan is focused on helping working families and ensuring that everyone has a fair chance to succeed. Education is also a priority for Biden. He believes that every child deserves a quality education, regardless of their background. Biden's plan includes increasing funding for public schools, providing more support for teachers, and making college more affordable. He wants to make community college free for all students and provide more financial aid to those who need it. By investing in education, Biden is working to ensure that all Americans have the opportunity to reach their full potential. In addition to his policies, Biden's character and leadership style are important factors to consider. Biden is known for his empathy and compassion. He has faced personal tragedies in his life, including the loss of his first wife and daughter in a car accident and the death of his son Beau from cancer. These experiences have shaped Biden's character and made him more understanding of the struggles that many people face.
The only sacred obligation we have as a country is to care for our veterans when they come home and their families and equip them when they go to war. That's what we're doing. That's what the VA is doing now. They're doing more for veterans than ever before in our history. I was recently in France for D-Day, and I spoke all about those heroes that died.
Biden's empathy and kindness are qualities that are needed in a leader, especially in times of crisis. Biden's leadership style is also inclusive and collaborative. He believes in bringing people together to solve problems rather than dividing them. Biden has a history of working across the aisle with Republicans to pass important legislation. This ability to build consensus and find common ground is crucial for addressing the many challenges facing the country. Biden's leadership style is a refreshing change from the divisiveness and polarization that have characterized recent years. Another reason to vote for Biden is his commitment to justice and equality. Biden has a strong record of supporting civil rights and fighting against discrimination. He has pledged to address systemic racism and ensure that all Americans are treated fairly. Biden's plan includes reforming the criminal justice system, protecting voting rights, and advancing LGBTQ+ rights. By promoting justice and equality, Biden is working to create a more inclusive and fair society for everyone.